Hi, I'm Janie. Welcome back to the JC League House. Today I'm going to talk to you about my porch. It looks amazing here. It's just been completely redone, but it was not something on my list of things to do. It was so far down my list. It was probably on the list of things to do after I'm dead when somebody else owns the property. But just like the rest of this house, I don't always get to decide what happens. Sometimes it decides for me. So let's go back and take a look and see how this came about.
Way back in the beginning when I bought this house, the porch was covered with this horrible vine. It's the same vine that was growing all over the garage, and it was starting to grow up the walls of the main house. This one vine was over 15 feet long. You could tell that the porch was in bad shape. The plaster was falling off the handrail, and bricks were loose and could be pulled off by hand. I pushed on the bottom with my foot, and the whole thing fell off. It was just an exterior porch, so it wasn't even on my list of things to do. I did get tired of walking through the mud because this is the only entrance that we have available to use. The front door is boarded up. So I spent about 30 minutes making this small brick pad to step on, but that was the extent of doing anything with the porch. I continued to ponder over the stability of the porch railing for almost a year, picking at the plaster and pulling bricks off the top one by one. I still wasn't convinced that it was bad enough to fix. I mentioned before that sometimes I deviate from the order of how I approach a renovation just to keep a crew busy so I don't lose them. We had a couple of day delay in receiving a batch of lentils, and I had already pulled a permit to repoint and repair brick on the exterior of the house, so I told Ricardo to go ahead and start repointing the porch just to keep him busy. A rather straightforward, simple job. Then came that fateful text you saw in the Look Out, It's Monday video. You saw in that video what he uncovered. The roots of the vine had grown giant tubers, cracking and destroying the porch from the inside out. There was no choice at this point. They had to come out. Ricardo started removing them, and it was like picking at a scab. Once you start, you just can't quit. It didn't take long to figure out there was a significant problem. 30 minutes later, it looks like this. You're moving the corner. Well, why not? I know, the whole thing. That's why I wanted to take it down. It's kind of scary. You lean on it and the whole thing shifts. Yeah, you can see how far it's pulled away. Is that corner? What's it look like? Is it solid?
No.
No. The closer I inspected, the more obvious it was that all the railing had to come off. With the underpinning gone, the rail was much looser than before, and I was really worried that if someone fell hard against it, sections might break off, like the bottom of the handrail. As Ricardo was removing the tubers, you could tell that they went deeper and deeper into the porch than I originally thought. I was really getting concerned about the top layer of the porch. It has the original Victorian tile, and I was afraid that if you had to demolish too deep under that top level, that the whole thing could collapse. You can see here as he's removing these roots that the way this porch was constructed, they built a solid base and a rail, kind of like a wall, and then they just filled in with loose rubble up to the level where they wanted the porch to be, then poured concrete, leveled that out, and laid the tile. There's about a foot or more of this loose material, which really gave those roots an easy way to grow deep into the interior of the porch. At this point, I'm probably annoying Ricardo because I'm hovering and wringing my hands and telling him over and over and over to be careful. Thankfully, he's used to me, and over the years, he's learned that I like to save everything that I can. With the uncertainty of what was going on up above, for safety and support, this bracing was added underneath the arch, just in case. With the demolition done, I could see more of the construction detail. Here's a metal tie rod that's used to hold the brick together. Like concrete, brick works well in compression, but not in tension. Metal tie rods like this one are strong in tension, so pairing it with the brick that does well in compression makes a lot of sense. Except for one thing, this tie rod is located in a place where I can't think of it having any benefit to this structure at all, and I haven't seen any tie rods anywhere else in the house. You can also see the end of a railroad track or I-beam used to anchor the edge of the arch.
It just keeps getting worse. At least the arch is held. We'll be making another trip to the brick disposal site.
Following our slogan of Build Back Better, rebar was added to the corners for additional support, and a steel mesh was used between some of the courses of brick for stability. A waterproof barrier was also added to keep water out from underneath the porch and try to shed it to the outside.
Ricardo brought reinforcements today. They're getting up to the complicated part, trying to match the design here on the rail and under the window to the new part. Okay, and this is also the first time I've noticed that was under the window like that. I'm guessing that was all open and was closed in later. Got a lot going on.
It was quite an operation. Ricardo brought in a second mason and an additional helper. With the addition of new crew, there were 6 people working on this for well over a week. In the end, the entire handrail had to come down. As they were doing demolition, they kept trying to get back to something solid that could be saved, and it just never happened. So eventually it all came down and we had to get back to the foundational bricks and start over from the bottom. Because so many bricks were demolished out of the stair during this process, we really needed to reuse everything we could. So 2 people spent almost the whole time just cleaning mortar off and trying to pick through and salvage everything that could be salvaged.
They're working on the rail and uncovered more evidence of how the island was raised and the effect it had on this house. You can see this arch that's currently below ground, but when the house was built it would have been above ground, like this arch coming down to a supporting footing and then another arch to the next footing.
Parts of the porch were more slowly dissected so that the original pattern of brick could be replicated. Once it's plastered over, no one will ever know, but I would know if it were different. Anyway, it may be a long time before the exterior gets plaster put on it, and so until then, the brick will be on full display. We had a few days off for freezing weather, but soon the weather cleared and it was gorgeous outside, and they were working hard again.
Working? Nope.
No, let's pull this off.
Oh.
Let's go ahead and pull this off.
Things were going great, and then I decided to do a little bit more exploring. All that tapping you see is how you test the plaster to see if it's stuck on the wall or not. If I hear a distinctive hollow sound, I know it's not so good.
Yeah, the crack is carried through the brick.
Yeah.
And not just the mortar. Which I bet this one has too. Let's see about this one. It's hollow too.
Yeah, look at it.
Bro.
Makes me wonder what's going on up here. Okay. That crack carries through the brick. The brick failed before the mortar, which is not what you want to see. And that crack starts at the bottom, carries up, and then goes over along the rail and up. What I don't know, without taking off a lot of plaster, is how this handrail was made. Was it actually attached or added on after? And I think it was added on after, because look into the crack. You can see that that wall was decoratively plastered, and then this handrail butted up to it. It's another one of those architectural mysteries. Let's go look at it from the top. You can see here the same phenomenon. If you look down there, this face of the building wall was plastered first, and then this was added up to it. So I'm not going to worry about that crack too much. I'm more worried about that one. Another reason I'm not too worried about that crack is look what's above it. Basically nothing. The weight of the roof is carried by that column. That wall doesn't do much. So structurally, I'm not concerned. I'm just going to leave it alone, repoint the mortar a little bit, and at some point come back and replaster. It was finally done, and look how beautiful it turned out. I just hate to cover it up with plaster. And then I got the most incredible surprise. I'm so confused. I just walked to the front of the house to pick something up, and when I came back, this is laying here. And when I looked inside, whoops, hold on, a handful of nails. It's a painting of my porch. This is just such an incredible coincidence to get this painting since I've been doing all this work on the porch. I really felt like it was fate. There was a wonderful letter inside, and it explained that this gentleman was a friend of someone who lived in the house back in the early 80s, and he had taken a couple of photographs of the back. One of them you can see here is this view of the porch. So he used that to paint this painting. I'm going to take it home for now and hang it where it's in climate-controlled conditions so it doesn't get ruined until this house is finished and I can find a place of honor for it. The people of Galveston are so nice. I've had so many wonderful things like this happen. I'll keep sharing with you as I do more videos.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. It is a long and winding road towards the restoration of this house, as we have many detours just like this in our future, I'm sure. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed everything. Be sure and hit the subscribe button and like so that others can find us on YouTube.
You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Check out the links in the description or visit our website, League-Kempner House.org.